Makoko is an infamous settlement nestled in the heart of Lagos. I grew up learning about this so-called city on the Lagos Lagoon, and I've been fascinated about this settlement ever since. My YouTube channel finally gave me a reason to visit and spend time with the residents of Makoko community. What I learned during my time shocked me. This video covers the past, present, and potentially tragic future of Nigeria's most infamous slum community. Welcome to a day in my life as a YouTuber and storyteller in Makoko, Lagos. To be 100% open with you, I spent 3 days in Makoko, so this video features clips from all 3 days. But I did essentially the same thing on all days. I could have used clips from just one day, but I felt like there are certain clips that work better and I did a better job at doing it. I also did not go and start videoing random people. I feel like that's uncalled for and quite demeaning. I volunteered with a free school run in the community by a young gentleman and used the opportunity to make videos like this. Makoko's infamy is quite interesting to say the least. I have gone to certain countries in Africa where people ask me about Makoko. There is something about seeing the brackish water, people floating, and the living conditions that just attracts people. The attraction might be negative, but it exists. Whenever I rode on the Third Mainland Bridge, I almost always look at Makoko because it has always been intriguing to me. I grew up seeing Makoko from this bridge, so I thought the community was all I could see from the bridge, like they were all coastal. On my first day going to Makoko, I reached out to the NGO beforehand and I got directions. Finding my way there was far from easy. I realized during my search that Makoko is actually quite expansive, but I was also surprised that Makoko wasn't this far off place. It was literally a couple hundred meters from places I used to frequent in Iwaya when I was in school. I finally found my way to the location after a mixture of transport means. I used keke, I used the bike, I walked back and forth until I got to the location I was directed to. My number one culture shock when I got to Makoko was that the overwhelming majority of the community wasn't coastal. Yes, they lived close to the coast, but the pictures and videos you see of houses on steel surrounded by water was actually a relatively small part of the community. I would say that the water-based residents are simply more photogenic. I learned that rent prices for homes on the water can sometimes be more than 300,000 naira a year, and I could not believe it. I knew they weren't lying, but it was just incredible. There is no escaping the unfair reality of Lagos's real estate, even in Makoko. Please consider subscribing and liking the video while you're here. It means a lot and is the easiest way for you to support. Thank you as you do so. When I got to Makoko for the first time, I realized that this is actually people's home. It was early in the morning, people were going, coming, kids were going to school, people were going to work, and I realized that this was more than just a tourist attraction. If you are going as a first-time visitor, I need to advise you that the smell here is very strong and unmistakable. You need a strong stomach. I used some of my personal tricks to not throw up, but it took almost everything I had for the most part for me to keep the content of my stomach within my body. It's quite disturbing that there is a serious lack of basic amenities in Makoko, even worse than the rest of the country. That was why I reached out to an amazing foundation here in Makoko. I learned that they offer education, free education for that matter, to primary level students here, and they also house a couple orphans who live at the foundation full time. On the first day, I visited after school hours and got to know the project lead and the head teacher. They are amazing people and the work they are doing here is beyond wonderful. The next morning, I resumed and spent the entire day in the school. I tried to come very early because according to what I learned, activities start as early as 5 a.m. because they offer these kids free breakfast, so they have to wake up to cook for hundreds of students. At the time I went, they had 425 students. We made videos all days. I visited all the classes, got to speak with all the members of staff that were around. I think there are 12 staff in total, and I felt like I worked for the school that day because I literally did. It was an amazing experience. A general day in the life here at this school for members of staff begins as early as 4 or 5 a.m. sometimes. In the morning, teachers and certain volunteers use one of the 5 boats to go and pick these kids from their homes, basically like a school bus system. They go and then they stop by, they bring them to school. While this is going on, some teachers are cooking breakfast. On the first day, they serve them noodles. On the second day, I think it was bread and butter, and on the third day, I do not remember what was served. When the students come, they line up, get their free breakfast, and then go for classes. Classes often go on till 1 p.m. for the younger ones and 3 p.m. for the older students that are preparing for entrance exam. At the end of the day, some of the members of staff and older students, both the kids back home when it's time. I got to see most of these experiences and document it. Unfortunately, I could not document the pin part because I needed to be there at a time that wasn't physically possible for me. Why don't you consider supporting my work by joining the channel, gifting super thanks, or simply subscribing and liking this video? However I choose to support, just support. Thank you. After school, I decided to take a boat ride around the settlement with my friend. It took me around a large chunk of the settlement, showing me new places and showing me the reality of life behind the Makoko wall. I got to see a lot and I got to learn a lot, and I felt very emotional during and after this experience. We visited sites like the maternity ward where women give birth, and I almost shed a tear. It took a lot for me to hold the tears out because there was literally nothing there, and I learned from my friends that infant mortality is quite high and the process of giving birth is also quite deadly comparatively for women in Makoko. Before visiting, I did not have any positive or negative emotions about Makoko, but after visiting, I realized just how much these people need help. The settlement might not be the prettiest, but that's not because of any fault of theirs. The closer you are to land, the darker and more brackish the water is, but as we got closer to open water, it cleared up more. After the boat ride, I was offered a decadent lunch by my host. Keep in mind that the full day I spent with them, they had been taking care of me. I got offered water, I got offered soft drinks, I got offered snacks, and I was more than happy to share with them. I tried to reject, but you know how we are in Nigeria, rejecting food is a crime. At the end of the day, I was offered a local Makoko delicacy. I think it's made of plantain and gari. I tried to turn it down, but once again, you know how Nigerians are, you can't turn down food. It was a different experience. I'm the kind of person that anything plantain, I'm there, but this was a very different experience from how I've been used to eating plantain before. Try it out if you ever get the opportunity. Another thing I noticed in the last few weeks while traveling across the Third Mainland Bridge is ongoing sand filling project in and around Makoko. I was very inquisitive about it and like, what is happening, what are they trying to build, what is going on here. While spending time with my new friends at the orphanage and school, I told them, and then they offered to take me around for me to go close to the project and see it for myself. So after our wonderful lunch, we decided to visit the project site. Naturally, I asked for a life jacket because I don't play like that and I cannot swim, and the water, the further you get from land, was obviously deeper. Most of this community isn't more than 3 to 4 feet deep, or around 100 centimeters. When we got to the location, we couldn't get too close because our boat wasn't for that type of depth. We could have gone with a more equipped boat, but I did not know about that. I was still able to get amazing content and footage like this for you. Maybe next time. If I try to talk about the projects going on here, this video is gonna be about that. But you can watch my in-depth video on this topic linked in the description. Suffice to say that future might not be very bright for this community because the federal government or state government, who knows, is unfilling this area, and they've asked a sizable population here to move out, especially those living in and around power lines. So nobody knows what the future holds for this community, and there isn't much readily available information. The gist is parts of this community is being demolished, but not necessarily all of it. Nobody knows what they are trying to do here, but some people are cautiously optimistic, and some grand Nigerians believe that the federal government is trying to turn Makoko into a sort of Eco-Atlantic on the mainland. I guess I see the correlation a bit, and Eco-Atlantic is perhaps the most popular example of this in Lagos, and this city is in a constant, never-ending battle with the Atlantic Ocean. At the end of the day, nobody knows what's going on here, and only time will tell. Judging by what you've seen so far, is this somewhere you would like to visit at least once, especially if this place was said to exist soon, or is this somewhere that you would never be interested in at least visit? Let me know in the comments. Some of the frequently asked questions and misconceptions that I would like to address in this video is that, first and foremost, Makoko does not exist for your enjoyment. It is an actual settlement with people that live everyday life. It is also a town on its own. It has most of what you would expect in a rural community. Most of the people living there now are descendants of immigrants from present-day Benin Republic, Togo, and even Ghana. French and Egun are widely spoken here, probably more than Yoruba, making it a multilingual town in Lagos. I would advise anybody that is so inclined to try to visit Makoko at least once. It is an experience that will change your life for better or for worse. If you are visiting, I would also implore you to try to visit the school that I worked with. Donate if you can, not just money. If you have things that you think they would need, by all means, please do so. These people are doing amazing work. Makoko is people's home. Don't just visit with the aim of creating content or taking pictures to make yourself look good. There are actual people with actual life. Be respectful and take cues from the locals that you are around. After 3 long days in Makoko, I finally returned home, bringing us to the end of my day in the life. But one thing that I didn't notice at the time that I'm just noticing now is that I am obviously breaking out. After my third day in Makoko, I felt really ill. I was looking at videos from my first day. The signs were already there, and as you know, hindsight is 2020. Looking back now, I see how sick I look. I didn't fall sick because of Makoko. The stress and being in a new environment must have exacerbated it. Click the video on screen now. I made it specially for you. Until the next video, your friend from the Okodo YouTube channel wishes you love, peace, and prosperity.